Hello and welcome to another episode of the Humanizing Data podcast run by Morpheus Meets. My name is Sean Kennedy. I'll be your host and I am a senior consultant on the AI and emerging tech team. Today, we're fortunate enough to be joined by Kunal Sawarkar, Chief Data Scientist and AI Product Leader at IBM. And just to be clear, today's views are completely of his own and do not reflect IBM's. So now we've got that out of the way, Kunal, thank you so much for joining us. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. And if you could just give a sort of background in terms of, where you come from, your journey, and what your role is today at IBM in a bit more detail.
Sure. So I currently lead our embeddable AI mission for IBM, which helps companies embed AI easily into their product, be it NLP, speech, or other AI technologies. So I lead the mission for how easily we can help companies bring proprietary research into their product, which open source cannot provide. So this includes product development, getting things out and getting it adopted by some of our biggest partner and the companies out there. And that is something I absolutely love. I have been doing AI for a while, even though I probably is one of the outcasts in the technology in the sense that I never had a degree in computer science. I actually had a degree in electronics engineering, but back when I graduated, there were hardly any jobs in that field. So I took up a job in IT as a Java programmer, and something I absolutely hated. And I was like, no, this is not something I want to do. So I went exploring and I came across this emerging field, which used to be called advanced analytics, which is like, let us make sense out of the data. And that morphed into what we used to call data mining, which is you are literally taking a deep dive into data to hoping that there are some hidden meaning into that we need to discover and uncover. And that led me to actually find what I really enjoy, and that is statistics and basically telling stories with the data. And so that helped me prompted to go back to school. I went back to get my master's in applied statistics from Harvard, and then came back. And since then, enjoying doing data science in various roles, helping to move the needle in what we can do with the help of machine learning in industry and society.
Of course, and it sounds like you kind of fell into the right field eventually, but it sounds like it was a somewhat of a rocky beginning at first. But you mentioned about statistics and the data that interested you so much. What exactly about that particular area inspired you or motivated you to then go back to school and now pursue it as a career? What really took hold of you?
That's a very interesting question. I mean, I find statistics to be the metaphor for the universe, where it's a symphony of chance and certainty, which defines everything what happens. So, for example, you cannot predict that it's actually going to happen exactly like this with 100% accuracy ever. But statistics is always true when you adopt the beauty of it, like, hey, this is going to happen with 70% certainty. For example, 70% people who went to college gets good jobs. You cannot say which 70% are those, but that's an absolutely proven science. And I found that thing really fascinating. I mean, look at all the big choices in life. We always wonder, like, who am I going to marry? What is going to happen with my life? Is a person going to be alive when he's driving a car? Now, you cannot predict that, but you can absolutely predict with the help of statistics how many accidents are going to be there in a year in a country, and then project likelihood of somebody surviving. And to me, that's an incredible amount of knowledge that somebody can bring, and almost like a power about how the system works at a massive scale, at the scale of an universe. And I found that really fascinating. I mean, in fact, I mean, since we're talking about it, it just reminded me of like the Nobel Prize, which is given this year. It was given for quantum entanglement, which essentially proved that universe is not locally real. What it means is, like, Einstein used to think like there is a certainty of realism in the universe, and there was this completely different theory which said that no, there is not. It's everything is uncertain. All you have is a probability function that goes. And for over 100 years, scientists were trying to prove either way. And this year, they finally awarded Nobel Prize for quantum entanglement, which kind of proves that even at basic level or at the massive scale, everything is a probability function. And that's what, I mean, this study is. I mean, many think AI is a new field, but it's pretty old. It's been, the fundamentals has been there for a long time. And absolutely enjoy the symphony of chance and certainty and how predictions it comes up with.
Definitely, and I mean, a scary idea there. You said about statistics on who you're going to marry. I mean, we could have a phenomenal business idea there. I mean, I certainly would be interested in seeing some statistics on that, and maybe some people wouldn't like to see it, but definitely, like you said, it works both ways. And you, of course, alluded to the fact that AI has been around in terms of the concept for many years. From when you started out to say the present day, what have been the sort of major differences or shifts that you've seen?
So that's a very good question. So many people became aware of AI recently. As I said, when I started, it used to be not called data science at all. I mean, we were not had a title of data scientist. It was a blue collar job. We used to be called data miners. So we would mine the data, and suddenly somebody at Harvard Business School thought, oh, this is now going to be the sexiest job is 21st century. So everybody started calling it data scientist. So, I mean, before I answer that, I mean, I think I found it very interesting to share that AI goes almost 250 or 300 years. If you look at the core of it, which is you get data, and you, after collecting the data, you use it to make a decision and make a prediction about the future. And the guy who probably is the founding father of the AI in that sense is also the founding father for the US, Benjamin Franklin. Not many people know it, but Benjamin Franklin was a fascinating innovator. And he used data or data science, so as to speak, to come up with many interesting innovation, like how can we deliver mails by putting an odometer at the vehicle. And this was way before automobiles were there. But he found the most optimal route of how to deliver the mails by putting the odometer on the horse carriage and then finding the shortest distance to it. Now that's data science. That's your Google Maps just 300 years back. Like, how do I go from point A to B? And he was also the guy who actually wrote a paper almost in 750 something about why we need to have a census to collect the data about population so that government can make a policies based on that and predict what kind of resources we need to help that population. And that is a fascinating insight. You know, we always talk about data-driven organization. And Benjamin Franklin was the guy who invented the whole idea that you need to collect the data in order to make a good, effective organization or the governance structure in place. So it's been going on for that. I mean, most of the algorithms like Bayes' theorem and everything has been around. Florence Nightingale famously in 1850s came up with the prediction by collecting a lot of data on British Army that most of the soldiers are not dying because of war or injuries, but are dying because of lack of sanitation. And that helped created first health department in Britain and saved millions in lives. So that was the biggest impact you can say data science had. And she did it with the help of by predicting how many, analyzing the historical trend and then saying this much would die. So, I mean, it's been there for a while. And as I said, when I started it, we used to deal with similar challenges. What changed fundamentally in the last 5 to 10 years is the volume of data. I mean, I would probably deal with thousands of rows when I began my career here. And even doing that was computationally expensive. Now we are dealing with rows which runs in billions of it. And the fact that we have such a data, which internet and web made it possible about human behavior and human knowledge, is incredible. That is why OpenAI and Google can do the things they can do, because there is existing data. And second is a computational power. So it's a massive success of AI can be seen as the massive growth in the amount of data that we can collect and then utilize for this purpose. So it's all that they say is the magic is in the compute and not so much in the algorithm at the end of the day, which makes data science possible. So, I mean, I always tell friends is like data science, if you are to look at this word, then it is a hyphenation between. So there is no science without the data. So what changes the first part? Science was always there, but we had an exponential growth in the data.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, a couple of phenomenal accomplishments there by some key figures in history. But in terms of accomplishments of your own, you know, I can just to go off, you were voted 40 under 40 in the Analytics Insight magazine for innovation in AI, and also I believe you wrote a book, Deep Learning with PyTorch Lightning. You know, some phenomenal accomplishments in themselves. If you could kind of elaborate on them for our listeners, and also any other major compliments you would say in both a professional and non-professional sense.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. So, I mean, I'm pleased and grateful to be named 40 under 40 innovators as well as on Outstanding Leadership Award. So, I mean, the credit goes to my team because AI and innovation at the end of the day is a team sport. So I'm grateful to work with most of my team members and also have an ability as well as coming across challenges which requires that a new solution has to be found, which requires to solve unsolved problem. So I'm glad I came across those previously unsolved problem and were forced to look at the solution, which eventually became patents and filed as the papers that helped my innovation journey. And apart from being a data scientist, I'm at the heart is a rock climber, and I bring the same attitude to the machine learning because I find rock climbing and machine learning just two sides of the same coin. I mean, in the rock climbing, you are trying to find the most optimal route to do certain thing. The goal is not to get at the top. You can just go anyways, but you're looking for how I can solve the hardest problem of going to the top. And it is those hard problems which are worthy of our passion. And I find exactly the same thing exciting in machine learning. That if there is a problem that has not been solved before, then that is where you can put your best of effort and make an impact on that. So whether it is rock climbing or whereas learning to fly planes, which I love to do, or it's machine learning, it is always the unsolved attitude that of taking the attitude to take on unsolved challenges that helps bring with new innovation, and that eventually converted into these accolades.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And that's a great outlook to have on all areas of your life, I suppose, and just shows how important data is and how we can then utilize it to, get the best results and best form of process. And before you kind of ventured into this technical world and all things data science, you of course mentioned being a keen rock climber and also pilot. So that kind of leads me to my next question. What would you say you would do as a job outside of the technical world if you'd never have got into this area? What would Kunal Sawarkar be known for?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm an amateur pilot. I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. I hope if I wouldn't have gone this way, I probably would have ended up being a fighter pilot. Or at a very different end of the spectrum, becoming and joining some non-profit organization and working in some remote part of the world with the tribal areas, and try to make an impact there by trying to change their lives. So those are like probably two different things that I'm really passionate about, like hiking the mountains, rock climbing, flying the planes, as well as working with the tribals and bringing in an impact into their lives. So yeah, I hope that sometime, even in my rest of the life, I get to do this, and probably take care. Probably explore that side of the passion as well.
Excellent. Sounds like a good story for a next action blockbuster or something. Maybe you'll give Tom Cruise a run for his money as Top Gun. I'd definitely go and watch that. But yeah, in terms of, you've of course given us a nice timeline of where you started and kind of history on a whole within the field, bringing it to the more present day, what do you see as the challenges around AI, but also the real opportunities within it, and what do you see the future holding for the industry at the minute?
That's a very interesting question. So the biggest challenge in the AI is that there is this massive success that companies like Google and Amazon and others, Facebook, are seeing. But that success is limited to only 2 or 3 players. That is because they have the data and the compute to do it, as well as millions of dollars in R&D to actually continue to write algorithms, and hundreds of data scientists. And then there is a massive trove of enterprises who want to use AI, but they don't know how to do, because it's too costly, because you don't find good data scientists with PhDs there, and you simply don't have the resources and algorithms to do it. So we are looking at this bit of a monopolization in the AI, with some top tech who holds the data. And I think for the future, for AI to be bright, we need to democratize it. That's something I really love to do in my job, where we were able to bring embeddable AI library that combines research with an open source tech. And that is where I think the future has to go, where instead of locking things into some of these companies, where just to train a single machine learning model, you need millions of dollars. In fact, for OpenAI, they took as much energy to train one single model for large language, which can power an entire city for an year. That much was their just a power budget. So having to democratize it by creating a self-serving experience in embeddable AI, by creating libraries which can actually compete with the open source ease, but bring proprietary research, is where the future should go. But I'm not sure that is well written there. It is for an industry to work together to make it happen, as well as make AI a more responsible field. We hear a lot of things about the risk that AI can bring. And a lot of talk has been there about how EU want to regulate AI, how certain companies want to do it. But still, there is no universal regulation that companies has to follow. So those are, I think, is the biggest challenge which we have to handle where AI would grow. But other than that, we are just getting started. I think the biggest push will come with the quantum machine learning, which will make AI run at scale we have never seen before, and also handle problems that we have never been able to do before in optimization, as well as probably have a bigger impact on humanity than whatever we have seen. The jobs we know may be gone in 10 years, but they would be replaced with other jobs. So it's an old thing, is like AI is not going to take humans' jobs, but humans using AI will take the job of humans who are not using AI. So whether you're looking at a cashier in Walmart or a retail store, or somebody giving you things in McDonald's, or doing a bank transaction, those are pretty much, or even the truck driver, those are pretty much the job AI will replace. But the other jobs which require a human touch, emotional understanding, those will become much more valuable. So yeah, I mean, we are living in an exciting time. I mean, I can imagine 100 years back when first industrial revolution took place and people saw automobiles and industries coming over and world being connected, what they would be going through. I think we are probably going through a similar transformation.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And you, of course, mentioned you didn't go down initially the traditional route into data science with doing sort of electronics and then going back to school at Harvard to do statistics and then venture more into the data science world. For someone, say, entry level at the minute or just starting out, has an interest in AI, has an interest in data science, but isn't quite sure what the best process should be that they should follow, what advice would you give that they should do in order to best set themselves up for entering into this sort of world?
So that's a very good one, because I actually found that my background in electronics engineering helped me a lot in data science. Electronics engineering is about chip designing and how we optimize a certain design. So we are flowing a current and making it happen. And most of the algorithms that we use in data science were actually invented in electronics. So whether it is like an ROC curve, which is used to measure the accuracy, that is actually invented in electronics. It's used for signal processing. So as many other algorithms in signal processing, everything from Hamming distance, which is used. So that's where I found like a lot of the fundamentals are still the same, whether it is when you talk at the mathematical level of how signals are processed and how data is processed, because you are trying to make a sense of within a noise. And that is the similar problem that electronics had dealt a lot in communications. And that would be my suggestion to anybody who wants to start a field here, is to focus on the fundamentals, because the outer abstraction layer can change very fast. You can continue to get new languages, new packages, new ways, whether it is Jupyter or Python or something, they will change. They will change in the next couple of years. But the underlying mathematical foundations of the algorithms and the statistics, they are rarely changing. I mean, we are still using the same algorithms that were decades old, or in some cases even 100 years old. So anybody wants to do, they need to focus on making sure that they have a right foundation set in. This does not mean that everybody has to have a degree in mathematics or statistics or electronics communication, but it means that having the right foundation makes you much more adaptable to all the changes that a field will go through. And this will go through a massive change. A quarter is like an year in AI. Things change so rapidly in the innovation. So anyone who wants to do, focus on mathematical fundamentals and core statistical basics, along with understanding not to just how to use an algorithm, but how the algorithm works. Because then you can write your own algorithm and everything is simple. You don't have to worry on how I keep on adopting it to the new changes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And in terms of next steps, I guess, for yourself, we've of course touched on the fact continuing around the pilot license and the non-profit stuff that would be of great value to you. But from a work perspective, what's going to be the next steps for you from today onwards?
Yeah, I mean, I love leading the embeddable AI mission and expanding it and scaling it to make sure that thousands of partners can easily do AI. So I would continue to lead that mission and look for the newer challenges that needs to be handled within the AI. So the mission is to continue to grow that. Eventually every company, doesn't matter how small they are, they may be a 1-person company or a 2 or 3-person company, should be able to do AI, irrespective of their capability in terms of the skill set or the compute power. So creating that infrastructure and having a self-service vision of democratizing AI is something I will love to do and continue to do in my current role.
And from an NLP perspective, that's pivotal to everything you're doing over at IBM. What do you see the next steps being within that particular field?
Yeah, so we have recently released what we called NLP embed libraries, which allow NLP to be embedded just like you could do with any open source packages. And that comes with best of the research tech in order to do document classification, PII masking, as well as doing entity extraction, and also the things like chatbot or speech-to-text conversion. So all the problems which you can imagine in the NLP space is something where we are continuing to grow rapidly and make an impact by co-creating the products with our ecosystem. And that is something where I think IBM has a proven advantage over some of the other players, being the pioneer in the space, as well as being the most lightweight offering that we can bring, making it easily scalable, deploy anywhere, which no vendor lock-in, can run in on-premises, on cloud, on wherever you want it. And that is where it's first of its kind, and trying to bring NLP out of and making an API call into making it something that you can fully own and do it in a bite-sized manner that can, with a footprint which is in megabytes and not in massive gigabytes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm sure Benjamin Franklin will be shocked in terms of the advancements when he was formulating the census all them years ago to see where we are today. And it's, going to be very interesting to see where we are in another 200 to 300 years. Of course, myself and you might not be around to see that part. But in terms of the stuff you're doing over at IBM, of course, going to be really exciting and interesting to see what part you play in the AI and data science history. So finally, thanks so much for joining us. That was a fantastic episode. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we sign off?
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. So I really appreciate the opportunity. So thanks for hosting me.
Perfect. You're welcome. And if people want to find your book or anything else, what's the best sort of links or websites for them to go to?
Yeah, so feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, where my handle is Kunal Savvy, as well as the book is available on Amazon. So I'm happy to share any promotional copies for anyone who is looking to take it to the new geographies. So feel free to DM me. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.